We have a very special guest in studio today. This is John Dudley, and John has lived here in Laguna Woods for 35 years, and he is now 100 years old. And we're going to find out some interesting things about the life of John Dudley. Welcome, John. Well, John, it's hard to believe, but they tell me you were born 100 years ago.
That's correct.
Where did that event happen?
In Evanston, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, in August of 1918.
Did you ever think you would live to be 100?
Never believed it.
Yeah.
I live one day at a time anyway.
And how did you happen to be in Sicily?
In Navy.
Navy. I know that you know something about wine and care about it. Did that start in your days in Sicily?
Yeah.
What was your job when you were in the Navy? What were you doing?
I have to laugh because they brought the merchandise from U.S. to Bizerte, Africa, which is right next to Tunisia, and dropped off all the stuff that the big ships couldn't go into the little ones. I was on the little one. I was on a Lend-Lease ship from Stavanger, Norway.
Oh.
And we had a very interesting, I could spend an hour or two just talking about the ship, because it had a cow, a pig, a dog. It looked like a zoo
It
on
was
the
a
tail end of the ship.
traveling farm, I guess.
I asked the captain of the ship, how come you got all those animals? You're going to drop them off at the next stop? And he said, no. He says, look, the chickens that we have lay our eggs fresh daily. Mm-hmm. The cow that we have gives us fresh milk daily. And I said to him, I suppose that the milk is pasteurized. Well, he says, I'll tell you what, pretend that this is milk. I'll tell you what, fill that up. Now, bring it pasteurized. Now you drank pasteurized milk.
Oh. And was this a Norwegian man?
The only English-speaking guy on the whole ship besides me. So I had him lock, stock, and barrel morning, noon, and night. We had a girl on there. I'd say she was exceedingly heavy, and she was his morning, made the breakfast, lunch, dinner, his laundry, and everything else. And when I got through with this round loop, I said to the captain, I says, Captain, I says, get me off of this ship. The girl is starting to look good to me. And he did.
So you were 2 years.
Yes.
In Italy.
Well, I came out to California, then they finally shipped me to Oxnard. And I got out here and spent a few weeks waiting for orders to be transferred. The war was over. And now I want to go home. And so I asked the officer if I could go home. He says, no, we need you. You can do payroll, and we need people to muster out these people. I say, thank you very much. So the next day I went to Ventura, and I sent a night letter, Western Union, to President Harry Truman and to the staff of Harry's, and that would have been the senator and the other guy. So that was on a Wednesday night, and sure enough, on Sunday when I'm returning from church, now hear this. Now, hear this with John Dudley report to the captain's office. I was walking with my pal, and I gave him a little shove. I says, what do you think of that? So I walked into his office. He says, so you're John Dudley? I said, and he read the blue book, the Navy blue book, of course, cover to cover, sir. Well, that's good. And he says, did you know that I could have you chopping rock for 5 years in Portsmouth for what you did? I says, my God, I didn't kill anybody, didn't shoot anybody. What did I do? You went over our head. You went over a captain's head, and that is it. And at 11:30 right now, at 2 o'clock, there's a ship leaving, a berth 38, and you're on it.
Ooh.
And I was on it, and they shipped me to Japan.
Oh, my gosh.
I had to stay there till 4 months for penalty
Oh, wow.
before I got out.
So your little gambit to go over their heads didn't work out so well.
I'm never going to go over anybody's head.
After you got to California, what did you do here?
When I was quite young, I worked for a delivery service with a bicycle and everything over my back, like suits from the tailor and laundry from the laundry shop and so whatnot. And this one lady took a liking to me. She says, take this card and you keep it until you graduate from high school, and bring it back, and I'll get you a job. That's a good thing. So I put that baby away.
Yeah.
1 year later, I'm out there. Here's your card, ma'am. I want the job. And she sent me to, he was a vice president of Armour and Company at that time, one of the meat packers.
Right.
That's where I started. I was at Armour and Company.
I see.
At $10 a week.
A week?
This was the worst depression we ever had, and I hope we never have again.
Right.
And that $10 paid for my elevator, my streetcar, my bus, my everything to get back from Evanston over. And soon Hoover lost to Roosevelt, and pretty soon he put in the Social Security, and 1% that he took another dime off. Now I'm working for $9.90. You would think I'm supposed to go the other way. I'm going,
Right,
that's right. But soon they wound up paying people off in the credits and debit section of Armour. Then they had creameries, and they had made cheese. And I took a liking to cheese, and I stayed with cheese for 70 years.
No kidding.
I won one firm with 40 years.
Wow.
And this put me into the food business.
Now,
I know nothing else but food.
You learned about Italian cheese, and you worked at American cheese.
Yeah.
And
I'm still working.
are you?
You wouldn't believe it, a guy 100 years old, 2 months, 100 years and 2 months, still working. And I'm bringing mozzarella from Wisconsin to California.
Really?
And all of these sports bars that you see have my cheese in it, and they don't know it. They don't put a brand on it, but I bring in 2 truckloads of 45,000 pounds each.
Wow.
Twice a week.
You're still doing that?
Yeah.
They don't make you unload the trucks, though.
No.
You have lived here in Laguna Woods Village for how long?
35 years.
When you moved here, it was not Laguna Woods, it was Leisure World.
Oh, yeah. I even worked with Ross Cortese. I worked with him, not for him, but with him. He took me to lunch many times during the week, and I never got a penny from him monetarily. But he wanted the feedback from the new movers coming in, and that was how he treated me, with Opus One wine from, you know where.
Tell me, what kind of a man was Cortese?
Well, why would I knock anybody? This guy was one classic guy.
Yeah.
He had the suits to show you what money can do, and he's gone broke maybe 2-3 times, and then became a millionaire 2-3 times. The market fluctuated so badly, and
idea of a senior community was a pretty new idea at that time, wasn't it?
this wasn't his first baby.
When you moved here, was the whole then leisure world, was it all built, or was it still being built?
Well, they were building the last section in 1980 and 81.
How has Laguna Woods changed in the last decade or so? Do you think it's better or not as good?
Well, it's more than 10 years that it's changed. It was changing yearly. From the East Coast migrating all the way to California was very strong at the very beginning of the leisure world. And Philadelphia, Jersey, New York, all of those were moving in here.
These days, we kind of wonder why we have a New York club or a Chicago club, but I suppose in the early days, we had large numbers of people from those
That's correct.
cities. So when you came out here, then were you involved in the Chicago club?
No, I think I belonged to the Chicago club very shortly. The Illinois club, I think, folded. I'm not sure. But I was quite interested in the California club.
Now, I knew you from the California club. Because I was, at one point, I was doing reservations for the California club, and you would always call me and ask me about how many tables, because you were buying the wine.
Was close to 15 years handling their wine for them. Sir, I've done it all.
Yeah.
I flew to Concord with my wife around the world.
Wow.
A British Concord. And that was the highlight of my life, if you wanted to know that.
Do you have any idea how many 100-year-old citizens we have here in Laguna Woods?
There's not very many.
No.
Let me tell you that.
I'm sure.
Not very many.
There are some people of your age and more.
I said, they're asking me what was the best time of your life. And you can't pick out a 10-year cycle. Next to everyone changed.
Oh, yeah.
As you went. You had 10 different cycles. The technicians became very good, and the professors got a little bit smarter, the scientists got a little bit smarter, and what brought them all from different countries to work here? Money.
Yeah. Opportunity.
So, that's where it counts.
Yeah, we've been blessed here in the U.S. to have so many bright people come from all over the world to want to live here, and they made us richer and better.
Well, Germany's got damn good beer.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and letting us have this conversation. I think our viewers are going to be interested to meet a 100-year-old man with the history that you've had. We're delighted to have Laura Waller in the studio today, and welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
And Laura, your journey began in Russia.
It's true.
And this would have been Russia back when it was part of the Soviet Union under communist rule. And then you got to come to the States at some point. But tell us a little bit about the beginnings in in Russia?
My childhood, was stolen by the war.
This would be the Second World War.
Second World War II, right.
And Russia was an ally with the United States in that war.
Right. And I was evacuated with all my family very far to the east, to Uzbekistan, where it was my childhood. And I can, start my real life when we returned to Moscow. It was 1951.
Okay. So as a child, your family moved to Moscow?
To Moscow. I was in that time 13 years old.
Okay.
And I start school. I graduated my high school in 1955 with gold medal. And because of this award, I have opportunity to pick up any university what I would like without exam.
So that is that gold medal won you an opportunity to choose whatever
I would
school
like.
you would like to go to. And what did you choose?
I choose Fashion Institute.
Fashion Institute.
Today they call Academy of Fashion. Change name. And I graduate institute with good score, and I start work in Moscow for big company.
Okay. So this would be a big government-owned company, I presume.
Right.
But we don't think of Moscow as being a center of the fashion industry, but obviously the Russian people, but Russian women wanted fashionable things to wear, and so you were a fashion designer for Russia.
And I really enjoy my job. I travel a lot in different republic of Russia to pick up idea like folk art, right?
Well, after 20 years of working in the Russian industry, you came to the United States. How did that happen?
In that time, my older sister, she already lived in Los Angeles, and she helped me to have visa.
So you had the opportunity to come.
Yes, and it was in 1981 when we came to United States.
Did you find it difficult to get started as a fashion designer in a whole new country? Was that?
You know what, believe or not, it was very easy for me.
Really?
Very easy. My friend said, look a newspaper, Apparel News.
Yeah.
I took Apparel News, many companies. In that time, Los Angeles was center of industrial, closed industrial. And everybody need. I have with me like book with sketches, and I came to any company where I, open door. They said, "Can you start tomorrow?"
Really? Oh, that was a pleasant surprise, I'm sure.
Right, but the problem that I have not English. I could not speak English in that time. I only yes or no. But what was easy for me, I can read sketch. And I can, I start work not designer, I start work with designer, like to make first garment. She gave me, sketch, and from this sketch, I made everything. I made pattern. I explain, like how to sew this garment, to put on mannequin.
You've done all this in Russia, so
I did everything.
Start from a sketch and make a pattern and all.
And sometimes, because I know, technology and construction of the clothes, I help designer who gave me only sketch, make maybe something a little bit different to make easy for sewing and to keep the same looking. So designers was happy to work with me.
Yeah. Well, you worked here in California,
in Los Angeles,
in the design industry for
10
years or so.
10 years, yeah.
And then an unusual thing happened, and that is that your husband started working on posters.
Turned page to my second part of my life.
Right. Yes, and your husband had the opportunity. We're going to show some pictures here.
Yes.
And on the right, you see a film poster, except that a lot of pieces of it are missing. And your husband, being an artist, was asked if he could repair
Restore.
this poster, and he was able to, and he was able to make it look like the image on the left. If you could put it back up again. So it looks like almost better than the original. And here's another example of that. Here's a Pathé poster. Here on the left is the way that it came to your husband, and on the right, what it looked like after he had repaired it. And this whole movie poster thing had become a really hot deal, hadn't it? Posters were selling for sometimes over $100,000, and people needed them repaired. And so your husband found himself in the midst of a new business, and pretty soon you joined him in it.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, he was very talented, and he bring absolutely new way for restoration on posters. Before, people who collect, you know, from to be young, mostly men's, they like to see horror movie, science fiction movie, silent movie. They collect posters, and posters during many years became very fragile with many damages.
Right.
And
because these are just cheaply printed, in a
Right.
sense, as posters that were put in the lobbies of movie theaters
Right.
for a week or so before the movie was run, and then was to be thrown away.
And sometimes they was outside, and rain or snow damage paper.
And they may have been folded up or...
when my husband start make restoration, it was absolutely amazing. He keep original, everything original. You know, he did not make change for this poster. What he did, he start cleaning. He, you know,
So he had to clean it to start
in
with.
special solution to bring back original color. Then a poster was mounted on nice Japanese paper. Fill up all damaged part what was missing with rice paper to make flat. After that, by hand, he replaced any missing
So
part.
we'd have to paint in
Right.
the parts that were
And
missing.
nobody can see where was damage. Yeah, this
me say that
this
again.
is Igor Edelman. This photograph was printed in France in magazine Point de Vue. It was in 1999, and in France they show example how it was before, after, and who did this work. Igor Edelman, and he became so popular, known around the world. In our but I forgot to tell them, we opened studio.
This is on the letterhead of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, but it's a letter of commendation. And then here's one from somebody having to do with Disney, apparently. Well, this was kind of phase 2 of your life, getting in the poster restoration business. And then your husband passed away eventually, and you closed the studio.
Studio was
And
closed.
you moved to Laguna Woods Village. And what have you found to do here?
This is absolutely new, third part of my life. I came to our community. First of all, I feel very lonely. I did not know nobody. And I decided, I went to Clubhouse 4, where I saw so many interesting shop, you know, like wood shop for sewing, for ceramic, and running by very professional teachers from Emeritus Institute.
Now, one of the things that you saw when you were visited Clubhouse 4 was slip casting.
Right.
And so when you do slip casting, the shape of the object is set by the mold that you use, but you do the decoration, right?
Artwork, yeah, artwork.
And-
I made actually more than 100 pieces, paint at home.
Here's a few more of the pieces that you've made. But here's another one that that you're doing. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is, I try the other things what I never did before, enameling on copper.
Tell us what we're looking at here.
You see in the center, it's piece enamel on copper.
Uh-huh.
But box I made in ceramic glass.
Okay.
So ceramic combined with
So
enamel.
ceramic with
enamel.
with the copper.
This I try stained glass. This is a different kind of stain of glass.
Uh-huh.
And you have to cut, but shape what you need.
What are we looking at right here?
This is my hobby, what I like very much. This is billiard.
Now, you did not make these little statues.
No,
but
no,
you
no.
won
I won them. I won them.
Doing what?
Okay, I like billiard.
Billiards.
Billiards,
Yeah.
right. And I practice maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 years to play billiard.
Is that right?
And when I came to this village and I saw that we have a billiard club, I joined and I start to play in tournament and competition.
There must be, 8 or 10 there.
Right.
And all the medals, too.
And medal I won on, we have village games.
Life in 3 parts.
Right.
Then you have found various ways to express your inherent artistry. You have lived successfully in 2 very different countries, and we're delighted to have you here as part of Laguna Woods Village.